The cap is constructed like that. It has the combs inside. It has this where you clamp on your adjustable elastic band. If you don't like this, I'm going to show how you can remove it. Like if you just know you're not going to wear it glueless and you want all the parting space, it really doesn't matter. But you can remove this if you want to. So I'm going to remove it really quick. I mean, I typically don't, but let me see. Okay, if I don't get this piece right here, I'm not going to do it. It's easier with a razor. But I probably wouldn't recommend you guys to do this. You don't want to rip your lace. This is just something extra I do sometimes. So it's coming off, but you got to be careful. It's not worth it if you're not careful and you cut your lace. So maybe if you're really experienced and you know that you don't want to wear it glueless. I mean, otherwise it's not going to be in the way. I'm just really being extra right now by taking this off. This is the custom made wig. And this is the attachment where your band goes. So if you purchase one of these wigs, we put the elastic band like in a piece of plastic like this for you to wear it glueless. It really doesn't make a difference. I'm being like extra right now just because I'm bleaching the knots and I know I'm not going to wear it glueless. And I prefer to, when I wear my wigs glueless, they fit perfectly when I sew my own band on. So I have a video on my YouTube channel showing how to do that. Because, you know, of course this band is, you know, everyone's head shape is different. When you sew your own band on, it can fit perfectly. And you don't have to worry about the ear tabs and all that extra. If you have a question while I'm doing this, just ask it in the comments. But next, I'm just going to show how to bleach the knots, because we do have several wigs on our site in which the knots do not come bleached like they used to come. So I definitely think this is a skill that's not too difficult that everyone should try to attempt, especially if you have like an old wig to try on first before doing the full technique. Otherwise, if you feel comfortable, if you're a beginner, I feel confident that if you just follow through a video tutorial that you can do this yourself. So, okay, I'm done. I just wasted a lot of time doing that. But that's for anyone who's just doesn't want the band. You can see, you can take it off. Now I gotta fix my light back here to make sure you can see. But this is one of the custom wigs. It's made with 3 bundles and a frontal. We're completely sold out of these, but in case you have a wig, I'm just showing how to bleach the knots. We don't offer any services. We're no longer a salon. We don't have a salon. Alright, okay. I had to fix my lightning. Okay, so this is the bleach that I highly recommend that you can purchase from Sally's. I like this because it tones and bleaches at the same time, so you don't have to get like the brassiness. That's something you want to avoid. Brassy is when it looks heavily orange and it looks like you have an orange scalp, and no one's scalp looks orange, so you want it to be very neutral, and this will neutralize and balance out the brassiness with having some violet to it. So you can get this from Sally's. Some people like to do BW2. I don't like it. It dries the hair out too much for me, but some people like it. I'm just showing what I recommend, what I've been doing for years and what works for me, and it doesn't damage the hair. This is also from Sally's. So now I don't typically recommend to get the 40 volume. I don't have 30 volume on hand, so I'm going to use 40 volume. 30 volume is more safe, so it's like less damaging. But I know I'm going to take good care of my wig. I know I can do this. I'm just going to use what I have. But for beginners, I recommend just going with the 30 volume developer. Then you just need some type of mixing bowl. So I just freehand this. I'm pouring this in. I don't use any exact measurements. And I know I'm only doing one wig, so I don't need a whole lot. It's all about mixing to get the right consistency. So this is how much powder I'm going to use. Yeah, you can bleach the knots of a wig previously installed, but it's way easier to do it when the wig is not installed because the excess lace really helps you grip it. When that lace is cut, getting the edge of the knots is a little bit difficult. So this is the first step I recommend when you get a wig, is to bleach the knots if you have to. But beware that there's many techniques out there. We're not saying you have to bleach the knots, but bleaching the knots give you the most realistic scalp look. But there's other ways to fake it if you want to be safe and not do this, because bleaching the knots does like dry out your frontal. It can make it last less as long, so it can affect the longevity over time, because the knots is what's keeping the hair in place. So each strand of hair in the frontal is tied into a knot. So when people are bleaching the knots, those are the black dots that are tied into the knot. So you're bleaching what holds the hair together. So you're going to compromise the integrity of it when you bleach it, so it can weaken it and you can get more shedding. But most people are aware of that risk, and they just take the risk because it's going to be what makes it look the most natural. So someone asked, does it make your front bald? It can. Most people, especially if you go to a salon, they're going to bleach the knots. But people need to understand that this is the main reason why frontals don't last as long as bundles. It's because of how it's constructed. The hair is only held together by a knot. Then you're putting bleach on the knot, so you're weakening it. Just like if you had natural hair that's never been colored before, you weaken the bond. So your hair is more in a fragile state where you really have to take good care of it. So you want to moisturize the knots after bleaching it. Some people forget that the back of this lace, you need to condition that after you bleach the knots. Like put some conditioner on there when you're washing your units. Alright, so I'm going to go to the mixing part. Again, I freehand this. There's no exact measurements. What you want to do is just get the right consistency. A good consistency would be something like cake batter. So if you bake cakes and you know how to mix to get that consistency, you're good. You just don't want it too thick and you don't want it too runny, because then it can seep through the lace holes. So this is a little bit thick. So I'm going to put a little bit more developer. I don't prefer the tint spray. Some people may, because I want to do what looks the most natural. You know what I mean? Like, so it's all about personal preference. But lace has been around for a while, and most people, they bleach their knots. Like some of our wigs that have the bleach knots, we don't bleach them all the way for that reason. So we want the customer to make the decision. If you want to go fully with bleach knots, like lightly bleaching them helps as well, but we don't want to compromise the integrity for you and make that decision, because you can still, the ones that come lightly bleached, you can still wear them and they look nice. So I hope you guys get that. This, the consistency you're going for is like cake batter, toothpaste, somewhere like that. Like this. This is really smooth. Before it was a bit stiff, but this is a good consistency right here. It's not going to be too thin. It's not going to, when it seeps through the lace holes, that's how it gets on your hair, and you can see it, like the roots of the frontal hair, and that's not good. What about the ones, what about them? What's your question about the ones that are not bleached at all? So I'm going to start to put this on. Now, there's many ways you can do this. Some people like to put it like on a mannequin head and flip it over. I do mine in minutes, and I just do it like this. I let it sit here, and I hold the top of my frontal as I brush across, because I find it easier for me, because I don't have to press down like if this was on a mannequin head. So I'm going to swipe across with not a lot of pressure, because pressing down, to me, that can increase the chance of the bleach getting inside the lace hole, and you want to avoid that. So lightly bleaching is not leaving it on. You definitely want to leave it on for the correct amount of time, because under bleaching is what's going to cause it to look orange. So lightly bleaching is when I'm not getting every section. So there's still some black dots. So I go lightly, like here, 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 just to get some bleach knots. So the whole entire thing is not perfectly bleached. You don't never want to think that you're helping a situation like by taking the bleach off too soon, because you're going to get the wrong tone. So you want to leave it on the correct amount of time. I recommend, if you're a beginner, to get like a timer. You can get this from the hair store. I always use this because I tend to get distracted and I don't want to keep up with the time like on my phone. So as soon as I put the bleach on, I'm going to put this timer to 15 minutes. That's all I leave it on. If you use this bleach in the developer, 15 minutes is good for the most part. If you use a different kind of bleach, it might be different timing. Or it just depends on the quality of your hair too. Like for most of our wigs, 15 minutes is good. But I would say anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes if you have wigs from other places that might bleach more slow. No, nothing depends on the size of the brush. I will say this though. So while we're sitting here talking, my mixture can thicken. When this is sitting, it thickens. So if you feel like you mixed it too thin, you can let it sit for a while, or you can just add more powder. But as it sits for time, it tends to thicken on its own. But you don't want it too thick when you're spreading it, because it doesn't spread very easily when it's thick. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm trying to position my camera so you can really see the strokes that I'm going to do. Okay, I hope you'll be able to see it because I'm going to start. Nope, I gotta lift it up. Alright. Thank you for the compliment, Mink Magic. I appreciate it. I'm just trying to make sure I didn't miss any questions real quick. This is the bleach that I use. Prism Lights Violet. You can get that from Sally's. I just use the Salon Care Developer. I mean, you can get any brand a developer. Go with the 30 volume though. That's what I recommend. I'm using 40 because I have it on hand. Yeah, it's still 15 minutes. Just check it after 15 minutes because I'm used to working with my hair, so it's 15 minutes. But I know that other hair, you know, it might just depend on other hair as well. But start with 15 minutes and then just check. All right. No more questions. We can start. Okay. I'm just making sure y'all could see this. Okay. So this is how I hold. So this is my wig is laying on a flat surface. And I'm just going to hold the tip of the lace. This is why it's on a new wig, because you have all this excess lace to kind of hold. Imagine if that was and you needed to get the the front knots. That's going to be difficult. So I have my mixture over here. I'm just putting it on my brush, no special way. I'm holding this and I'm just going to brush. Some reason holding, and I put the bleach above where the frontal starts at, just because that hairline is going to be the most important, because that's what shows the most, and making sure that you get all of those knots. So you want to go above it a little bit and just swipe it down. So lightly would be like not caring that you missed some areas. And missing areas is not really a big deal as long as you really get the hairline good. And I'll try to get like the middle where I know I'm apart. Try to go down far for that area. So that takes really fast. In each section, I'm just making sure I hold this top of this frontal up. Alright, and that's it. So it's all on there. Let it sit like that. I get my timer out. I put it on 15 minutes. 15 minutes is the starting point. Don't wash it off any sooner. You'll get brassy tones. Some people go 30 minutes, 20 minutes. I'm going to just say start at 15 minutes and you can check it and see how it's going. All right, so while I wait, let me know what questions you have. Let me see. So I wasn't brushing hard. It might have looked like it, but I wasn't. Yeah, somebody, Shay suggested take pics. I would do that so you don't miss anything. I don't cover the wig after I bleach it. Really no need to. Like when you're coloring hair, sometimes you color it. Well, if I'm coloring hair, I definitely color it because it's going to make it process faster. But I don't need this to process faster. And I don't want to mess around with smudging it with the hair. I just leave it just like that. You said how long does it need to dry? Well, it's not drying. It's just kind of processing. So start with 15 minutes. Thank you, baby sister. Yes, lace tint. Yeah, a lot of people... Precious, I agree with you. Lace tint is more for the lace color. So some people, like you will see YouTube videos where people put lace tint on the entire lace. My scalp is not my skin tone color. I don't do that. Never do. Some people do and that works for them. I prefer to have a natural looking scalp. Most people's scalps are light. Even if you're darker skin, your scalp is not your skin color. So the lace tint is to tint the front of the lace where it's going to blend into your forehead. Because if this lace is too light, if you're darker, you want it to match your skin tone. So it blends. But I wouldn't put it where my parting is going to be. Bleaching the knots is what gives the parting a more realistic color. Some people use makeup. So you can use like a lighter tone of makeup, lighter than your skin color on the entire frontal. That does work. It's not the most realistic looking. This is going to be the most realistic looking method. But each method has its pros and cons. So Britt Nicole asked for a brief explanation of what knots are. Knots is what keeps the lace in place. So instead of like a weft where the hair is sewn like on the thick weft for any lace product, they individually put pieces of hair inside the lace hole and they tie it into a knot. The knot is always black. So if they're not bleached, when you part your lace, it looks like a lot of black dots. So it doesn't look like scalp. When you bleach it, you're eliminating the black color. You're lightening it to a more blonde color to mimic a scalp color. The custom wigs are going to take a minimum of 7 business days to make. We actually went over what we said we were going to allow, so we have lots of wigs to make. All right, I'm missing a whole lot of questions. I'm in the middle, so be patient with me real quick, guys. Yeah, adding elastic to your wig makes it glueless. Do you always see your bang? I'm not sure what you mean. Style by Maven. Clarify that for me. I'll show how to wash it off. Do you always see your band? No, you don't see the band if you sew a band. Or thanks for sharing, very helpful. Yeah, if it says it doesn't come if it says it doesn't come bleached on the website, you do have to bleach them if you prefer bleach knots. We clarify on the site now. Before the pandemic, we were bleaching all of our knots. Things changed with our vendor. You know, of course, I mean, we sell hundreds of wigs. We're not the ones bleaching them. We have a factory that we work with. They're not able to do it anymore. There's a lace shortage. They're so behind. So a lot of new wigs that come in, the knots don't come bleached. Hopefully things will change in 2021 and we can get back down to doing everything for you so you don't have to do it yourself. That was the motto for our whole entire company. We wanted everything to be very easy for our customers, for beginners, where you can just cut the lace and put the wig on. Unfortunately, things changed because of the pandemic. We're working with what we can, but I'm always coming on live to share the information, trying to make, the process as easy as possible for you guys. If you need to sew it down, I don't think people are sewing their wigs down anymore. You guys can share in the comments, but you don't have to sew it down at all. I've never sewn a wig down. It's very secure without sewing it. 30 developer is just going to be less harsh on the hair. So it's less risk of drying the hair out. So it's more safe route to go. Trust me, 30 is fine. I usually use 30. So don't run and think you have to get 40 because I'm using 40. I'm using what I have because I ran out of 30. So someone asking, should she lighten the hair color or bleach the knots? It really doesn't matter. I usually bleach the knots first before I do any color. But like if I'm doing like blonde highlights and I know I got to leave the color on for a while, I might put the bleach on the hair. And then when I know I might want to rinse it out in 15 minutes, then go and put the bleach on the lace. So I'm killing 2 birds at once, and then I can rinse everything out at the same time. But whatever, you're most comfortable with, it doesn't matter. Yeah, Kristen said it looks like a screen door with no bleach. Yeah, she got that right on target. That's what it looks like without bleaching the knots. Yeah, it's definitely still okay to bleach the knots on our lightly bleached wigs. I do sometimes, just depending on what mood I'm in, for real. Because if you don't, it's a few things that you have to do to make it look the most natural. Definitely some concealer, which I'm going to show soon, like on your part, is going to help. But if you're a beginner, you don't want to do all that. If it's lightly bleached, it's totally enough to still look natural. So color wigs, yeah, like if you color it red or something like that, you still should bleach the knots. We don't offer larger caps on most of our wigs. That's why we had this wig sale this past Friday where you could do a custom size. This is the first time we've offered that. So it's not an in-stock wig. It's custom made to order. We typically want to ship fast. We don't like holding orders. We ship same day as long as you place